Hi everyone, I'm Ryozo Tsushimoto, the producer on Monster Hunter World Iceborne.
Since Monster Hunter World launched, it's had a number of monsters and special events that could be participated in without an extra fee. Did Iceborne start out as one of these planned events and just kept growing, or was it always planned as a larger expansion to the game?
So the Iceborne expansion was something that we had always envisioned as kind of like a big content drop all at once. It wasn't something that was originally planned as a free update. It was more of like, okay, these are free updates that kind of build upon the contents of World leading up to Iceborne. So that's kind of how we saw the connection between the two. And in terms of we wanted to make sure that the starting point for everyone in Iceborne was at the same point, entering Master Rank at the same time, also being introduced to a brand new mechanic called the Clutch Claw. So that was all things that we had kind of considered when looking at the content.
The last time we talked at E3, we mentioned the newest Elder Dragon and some of the returning fan favorite monsters. What was the process for selecting the newest roster?
So with the success of Monster Hunter World, we knew that there was a lot of new players coming into the franchise, trying out the series for the first time. And considering that we've been working on this franchise for about 15 years now, we wanted to kind of have new players get a feel for the history behind the franchise, being able to kind of see what kind of monsters have appeared in the past. So that was kind of one of the ideas we had when bringing some of the old roster back. And on top of that, just to kind of not just talk about the newcomers, but also veteran players as well. We had a lot of people making requests, so we would love to see this kind of monster with modern hardware. And so kind of listening to those players as well, figuring out like, okay, these are the popular monsters that people would love to see return. So kind of taking that into consideration. So with those two factors, also keeping in mind, it doesn't really... Sometimes it doesn't make sense to kind of just throw monsters in there without thinking about how the ecosystem all comes together. So making sure that there's no repetitive gameplay, everything kind of fits within one ecosystem, making sure that that all kind of comes together in a very logical, natural way, and figuring out the roster that way.
There have been quite a few chances for fans to go hands-on with Iceborne, both at events and in the betas. How has the audience feedback affected the final version of the game, if at all?
So with all the beta tests and allowing people to kind of try out the game through different events, that's definitely feedback that we're always listening to. We're always trying to see what people are taking away from the game. And that's definitely something that we always take into consideration when we're looking at the launch of the game and trying to figure out what we're able to incorporate. There have also been changes made between Monster Hunter World and Iceborne, and that's something that we're always trying to be transparent about through patch notes and developer diaries. So that's something, if you are interested in the minor details, we definitely have that available, so please check those out as well.
Monster Hunter World has given the franchise a larger scale in terms of the audience and actual game world. What freedoms has it allowed you creatively?
So it's not so much in terms of freedom, but more of consideration. We realize that with Monster Hunter World, we do have a much larger fan base, and with that, also just the breadth of content within the game, especially not just because of the base game, but also all the different title updates that we have. So you just have very different players in terms of what rank they're at, where they are in the story progression, and just their understanding of the game. And so kind of considering all those different factors, making sure that no matter who you are, where you are in the franchise, it's a smooth transition from World to Iceborne, and factoring the level design to make sure that everyone's able to have a good experience.
How much of the new world that we've arrived on at the beginning of Monster Hunter World have we actually seen?
So in terms of new areas, you have people going to Hoarfrost Reach, which is just a much colder area, much different climate. So what this does is it really kind of expands upon what we're able to offer the player in terms of monsters, because we're kind of looking at the climate and environment and figuring out, okay, these are the type of monsters that we can introduce. And so not only are we introducing a different environment that allows us to introduce more monsters, and because you have not only just hot climate and cold climate monsters, it really kind of broadens up the gameplay in terms of being conscious of the elements. So figuring out, okay, how do I optimize against this monster? I have to figure out which element works for them. So really kind of by introducing new areas, it expands the scope of the gameplay as a whole as well.
And the last question is, Iceborne launches next week. Do you have any words of wisdom or encouragement for hunters as they head into uncharted territory?
With the launch of Monster Hunter World Iceborne coming out next week, first of all, I just want to thank everybody who's been following any information that we've been releasing. We've definitely announced a lot of just news about the monsters and the environment. So thank you for following us. In terms of just like a new system that we've incorporated, if you are a higher rank player, you're able to kind of get an item or incentive when you help out lower rank players. So this franchise is all about cooperating with one another, and so we want all the hunters to kind of come together and always continue to build a strong community. So keep helping each other out, and hope you guys enjoy the game.